Wait, hold on, let me cough real quick.
Okay.
Because I need to make sure my voice is clear. All right, my name is Courtney. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about plastic. So plastic is cheap and convenient. And because of these conveniences, plastic products are ideal and preferred for everyday use. However, these products have a negative impact on animals, human beings, and the environment. Today, I'm going to share with you how our current actions as a society fail to reduce plastic pollution. I'm going to share with you how our current actions as a society to reduce plastic pollution are insufficient by first expanding on the scope of the problem. Secondly, by describing the ineffective actions used to combat the problem. And lastly, sharing conducive and sufficient solutions that have already been proven effective. Plastic is degradable, meaning it is able to be slowly broken down into pieces, referred to as microplastics, but virtually it is indestructible. Published in February 2015, a study conducted by UC Santa Barbara's Ecological Analysis and Synthesis Center, researchers quantified the amount of plastic waste in the land, from the land into the ocean. The results concluded that 8 million metric tons of plastic end up in our oceans annually, which is equivalent to roughly 5 grocery bags filled with plastic for every foot of coastline in the world. And that is expected to double to 10 bags full of plastic by 2025. That's a lot of plastic from a long time ago. Our great-great-grandparents' plastic is still somewhere on this earth. Referring to the eco-friendly organization 4Ocean in their article titled, "How Long Does It Take Trash to Decompose?" published in January of 2017, they shared that it takes approximately 20 to 30 years for plastic wrappers to decompose, 450 years for water bottles and utensils to decompose, and 450 to 1,000 years for plastic lids and caps to decompose. Because plastic doesn't disappear, there are centuries of plastic floating around the coast and ocean floor, inevitably making its way to our marine life. These animals mistake our disposables as food, thus ingesting it. I'm sure you guys are fairly familiar with the sea turtle who went viral for getting the plastic straw stuck in its nose. Cases like those are constantly happening, but unfortunately some animals aren't lucky enough to survive. In fact, environmentalist team Get Green Now stated that each year, 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine animals die from ingesting plastic. While the effects that plastic have on animals may not be enough to spark a sense of urgency in some, we must realize that this does in fact affect us as human beings in the long run. According to Blastics.edu in an article titled Toxicity of Plastics, it states that chemicals associated with plastic either come from the ingredients of the plastic, byproducts of manufacturing, or chemicals created via environmental channels. When plastics decompose due to sun, rain, and other factors, they release chemicals such as Beanspol A, which is also known as BPA, and PS oligomer, which contribute to pollution by releasing toxins into our ocean. According to a chemist at Nihon University in Japan, these chemicals can disrupt the function of hormones in animals, affect the reproductive system, and cause adverse health effects in humans. Since animals can't differentiate plastic from food, they eat it. So when you order your like salmon from your favorite restaurant, it's likely that you're consuming some microplastic as well as some chemicals. Microplastics are found in other different forms other than food, such as face serums, makeup, toothpaste, and surface cleaning agents. Since they are so tiny, you probably never stopped and really noticed them or wondered what they were. So you're probably wondering, how could beads that came from my face like make it into my crab legs or something like that? And that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. When these tiny microbeads wash from your face and go down the drain, they are so tiny that they can make it pass into our waterways. So what are we currently doing that's ineffective and inadequate? Right now we're currently using one-time plastics, such as plastic spoons, forks, styrofoam plates, and other things that are meant to be used one time and then discarded, which are not only bad for the environment, but also you're wasting money in the long run. And also we're not recycling, or at least not enough. In fact, Sarah Engler, author of 10 Ways to Reduce Plastic Pollution, shared that less than 14% of plastic packaging is recycled, also stating that each year close to 20 billion plastic bottles are tossed into the trash. So what are some methods in which other areas of the world have found effective when done consistently and correctly? Recycling, which is kind of obvious, but a lot of us don't really do it. Taking advantage of our local recycling centers is a win-win situation for the environment and the recycler. Oftentimes people don't make the effort to recycle because they feel like their small contribution won't make an impact. But to put it into perspective how impactful recycling can be, UtahRecycles.org shares that 1 ton of plastic recycled saves 5,774 kilowatt hours of electricity, 685 gallons of oil, and 30 cubic yards of landfill space. Which brings me to my next and final solution. So NRDC.org informs that 90% of plastic items in our daily lives are used once and then discarded. The utilization of reusables such as paper straws, reusable cloth bags, and reusable bottles like hydro flasks are minute adjustments to behavior but nonetheless impactful. These methods have been shown to make strides toward a greener earth. In fact, the environmentalist editor of the LA Times shared that the amount of plastic bags found littered in our ocean fell 4.3% after the implementation of the plastic bag ban in California. Being that the method of restraint showed a return in investment, utilizing the same form of restraint on other plastic items would most likely yield similar results. So in conclusion, effective, cheaper, and easier solutions are out there. The means of implementing them is the problem. Thank you.
All right, Courtney, the proposition's pretty clearly identified. It did sound like you had a earlier preview when you were talking about the effect it had on animals, humans, and the environment. I thought that was going to be the structure, and I said, that doesn't seem like what we had talked about. And then you had a preview that came later that talked about the issues that I would remember having conversations with you about. So that was just mildly confusing for a moment. The controversy on this, we talked about, what's the struggle on this, and I thought you did a pretty good job breaking the spine on that and making sure that you were trying to make an argument about this particular issue. The supporting structure is identifiable in the body of the speech, but I think there's nothing wrong with having a numerical signpost so we could see when those points are coming up. The first point got a lot of attention. There's a lot of time that's spent on that. The second and the third points, it's very brief, and since they are so brief, they could easily run together. So go ahead and use a numerical signpost on those, especially if they're not going to be that distinct based on the time issues. There's good evidence in the argument. There's a lot of statistical information, several pieces of expert testimony and factual data that I thought was appropriate. You usually provided a source for all of the information you're providing. You are rushing a little bit, I know, because you have a lot of stuff that you're presenting, but I thought you did a nice job trying to speak to the audience. And even though you do have to look at your notes quite a bit, you still seem engaged when you're talking to us, and that's the kind of thing that enhances your ethos. All right, thank you.